My name's Tree Fitty, and I'm going to show you how to use dynamic lighting in Roll20. So first, if you're like me, don't like to watch these kinds of videos anyway, here's a pro tip. Just put it at 1.25 speed, and it'll go by a little faster. Also, before I get started, it's important to point out that dynamic lighting is a paid feature for Roll20. Generally, it's free, but if you're the DM that wants to implement this, you need to be subscribed, $5, $10 a month. So if you're poor, stop watching. Continuing on, when we get started here, you want to start off with a map. You can import it pre-made, or you can build it in here. Either way, I suggest you put it in the map layer. And if you did when you first imported it, of course, it's a simple task of just go ahead, let's see here, right click it, layer, click on map if it wasn't already there. Done. Now, when you build this, I'm going to suggest you do not put any lighting features or lighting objects, you know, like a torch, sconces, brazier. Don't put them in here yet. You can put other furniture when you if you make this in like Dungeon Painter, but don't put it in here yet, and I'll show you why coming up. If you did already have it on here and it's a pre-made map, let's say you build it in Dungeon Painter, find those files within, find the picture file for whatever you had already put on here, and just import it into here, and then you can manipulate the token to add light to it, and then you can just put it on top of the old one, and no one will ever know. So how do you get dynamic lighting working? Let's start with the map. So you can see, you can go to page settings. This one's untitled because you don't deserve a name. And scroll down a little bit. You see the dynamic lighting setting. You can use this in conjunction with Fog of War, but there's no real reason to in most situations. I'll leave that up to you guys if you ever want to do that. Let me run through what these are. So enable is just that. We're going to go ahead and do that one, obviously. Enforce line of sight means that wherever the token is, we'll see light only from that angle. I'll show you more of that later. Start with that for sure. And then only update on drop. So if your player's a jerk and he just picks up his token and moves it all around and this is not checked, then whatever room he hovers over with that token, he'll be able to see all the hard work you did that you tried to hide from him. So I always do this one. And if your players are really jerks, just restrict their movement. But once this is checked, this one here is checked, they have to commit to the move before they can see what's in the room. So it's a little better at least. Global illumination is what it sounds like. It's kind of like a light Fog of War. So maybe if you were like in a dark forest, you could put that out and then maybe do a Fog of War on the outskirts where you don't think they would be even possible to see it yet. But it's just a dim Fog of War, more or less. So this is what I generally use. Can click OK. Oh, it got darker. I wonder why. Maybe it's because we got a dynamic lighting situation going on here. So now we're going to trace the walls to allow the program to know where they are. I already did some before I started, so we can just kind of move along through this. And I'll show you how I did that. Go to dynamic lighting. And here you can see some ones I already did. I have some that I'm going to do down here, some additional ones for you. In general, the easiest way to do this, I've tried all kinds of ways. I'm telling you, this is probably the easiest way in my mind to do this, is to go to polygon line. And it even says when you hover over it, hold shift to snap to grid. That's why these look so perfect. I'm not that skilled otherwise. So just hold shift while you click here, then click here, and then click here. I'll show you that. Also, if you have funky areas like this, so you can do it this way. It's super easy. And if they try to enter here, be like, oh, it's just so dark, you can't see shit. Or you can do it where you stop holding shift and just kind of keep clicking around here to make it very in depth. And anywhere you have this path, there's a wall essentially. So you don't need to close this area. You can just leave it open, right? And in fact, we're going to avoid doors with this thin line of a bright color. So that's the next step. You got this. Now it's going to start on black. You want some kind of bright color to see where you've done it, to make sure you've covered all your bases, right? And thin because the doors are going to be thick so that they're identifiable. I'll show you why. So first, let's go ahead and make a few lines with you observing. So we got the green and then thin, right? So let's stick with that. Those are my go-tos. So I'm holding down shift, I'm clicking there and then there, perfect line, and then there, perfect line, avoiding doorways, right? And as long as you keep holding shifts, so first right click, that sets it, okay? Now every time you do this, if you're holding shift, it's gonna meet perfectly, so no light will seep through and ruin the immersion of this whole situation, right? So shift, clicking there, then there, right click, now it's set. If you don't right click, it'll just create a line wherever you click the next time with the left click. And you can fix that easily by going back to the select mode and then right clicking and say undo, or you can simply just hover over stuff and select it. But we're not gonna worry about that right now. So let's go back here and finish this room real quick. Shift and then click there and then there, right click, set it. And they don't have to be perfect. I mean, you can go back through them, you know, like that. It doesn't matter. As long as one line is there, then that wall exists. So I'll go down here and then I'll go up. Sure, we're only going to use like these hallways and some rooms to show you this example. All right, so now that's done. That's the basics. Now let's make some doors real quick. Just make a few to show how they work. So switch this to a different bright color. Again, bright, just so you know what you're dealing with when you get to this section of the map. No one else will see this but the DM on this layer. You have to specifically be selecting this layer to even see these colors we're using anyway. And then go to extra large. Now normally there will be a door token here anyway, right? So let's just say that everywhere I mark right now there is a door token already. So hold shift, and now make sure you hold shift so you can just go point to point. If you don't, you have to drag a line all the way across. You can do that too. Like, it doesn't hurt to go here to here for a door. Not a big deal, but then it kind of blocks your view more, right? So what I prefer to do is I just do exactly where I want it, here to here. And because I'm holding shift, it's connecting all my lines, so there's no gaps. I'll do another one. Oh, see? Messed up. Here you go. Undo. Done. Donezo. Fixed. Shift and then right click. Click, right click. Let's leave those open so we can see some light pouring through. I'll close one of them. Yeah, sure. Right click. Okay, always make sure you end up with a right click, as I displayed. Me failing. Okay, now you got this set up. What do you do next? Here's my, I don't know if it's a secret, but it's what I do to be the most efficient I can when it comes to this and other stuff. Is I have a whole tokens page, so I can just copy and paste whatever I want. So I highly recommend you do this. You will need to have certain settings on your character tokens anyway, so it's good to have them preset. You can see these guys have damage from last time, because any map these go to, it'll carry over if you're using the character sheets over here. So if you attach them to character sheets, I'll show you an example after I stop drawing on my shit. Select, so go there, zoom in, get a little easier to see. Hit the gear. So normally you're on basic, right? I have their HP linked into here, and I have their AC linked into here. I even have it so that in advanced, I have C clicked, meaning that they can all see each other's health so they know when they need to heal each other. It's just easy, man. And the name tag is there so I can see them clearly when we're playing. Now, if you're going to use this dynamic lighting feature, every player needs to have has sight checked. If you don't, they'll only see darkness because they won't have sight. You're dumb. Put has sight on. Okay? Needs to happen. If they have dark vision, like this character does, this is how I do it. So 60 feet, and then I start to dim it after 40 feet. Then it kind of trails off. I think it looks a lot better. It makes a lot more sense to me. So that's how that works. Okay. So if you have all these here all the time, you can copy all of them, and then Control C, and then drop them in any map you need them to that you just built when they're ready to be there, and you can rearrange them however they would be in their marching order. These are all my NPCs. These are familiars and weapons and stuff. Okay, but here's what we really came for. These are really important to preset in my mind because it speeds up the entire process of building a map. This dimmer brazier has a dimmer light. It only goes a total of 20, but after 10 it starts to dim. The brighter one is different, obviously, right? It's very bright. And what you do with these is you put all players see light. You don't do that for the players, you do that for the objects. And these produce the light, and then they see the light. So they have sight, objects are seen, right? Then there's some unique ones like a candle. It always has dim light. So what do? You do 5 radius, and then it starts to dim at 0. It starts to dim right away. That's how you do that. And you can change the rate. If it's like a lantern that points a certain way, you can change the this part here so it's only like a 90-degree angle or some kind of interesting lighting situation there. I don't really have anything I mess with that does that. Also, torches. I have a torch right here. It's always set. So this is how they look in the books for spells and torches and stuff. 20-foot radius that's bright, and then it dim additional radius that is 20 more feet. So really in this you would put a total of 40 because it's 20 and 20, and then it starts to dim after the first 20. That's the exact same thing it's saying here. It's just in a different way. So you do that there. All players have it. Now any character that needs to have a torch, I can hit copy. I can make another one. This guy needs a torch. This guy needs a torch. Dunzo. Super fast. Way easier. Don't need to have them on the map. Or you can put it in the GM layer and have them on the map ready. Just even faster, right? This is I just made it. I made it super tiny by holding Alt, I guess, and it's just a spell effect thing I found, and I use it for the light spell. I think I even have it labeled. Yeah, light spell. So this is the parameters for light spell. So my cleric here likes to cast that on himself or other people sometimes, so I can just drop that on top of their token, and it's not super noticeable, but it, you know, it obviously shows that there's something going on there, and light will radiate from that point now. So some super simple stuff. Let's go ahead and copy a bunch of these in here. Control C into Untitled. Already you can see it working, right? So we'll drop this into here. The brazier is super bright. It's kind of cool right here. Drop this again, y'all. Stupid candles. Let's put some candles in here. They're just weak. And then, you know, on the walls, you can have the sconces done. There we go. So now, how do you test it? Good question, me. So I go in here and I'll pick a character that I know does not have dark vision, so they only will see my work, like what I've added to the environment that creates light. That way I can know I did it right. So let's go put them in this dark ass room, right? Now if you hit Control L, you'll see what they see. So there are clearly no doors right here. So you go walk in. Oh look, there's all this light now. But it must be a door over here, right? Because you can't see through. So if you click anywhere else away from that, it gets rid of it. So normally there would be a door token, you know, right here on the map layer. But there's this. So if this player is standing here and says, I want to go into this other room, you say, okay, and you go to this layer and you take this and you just get rid of it, man. You can delete it, you can just move it off the map, whatever. And now, let's see the light peering through. From their perspective, if I go back to the token layer, Control L, now they can see different angles in this room based on the light. It's a very cool effect, it's very nice. I kind of don't like that you can see all the way down this hallway all the time once these lights are on here. So, you know, you could add more doorways here. There's no other real way to kind of obscure this if it's lit, like long hallways like this. I don't think it's realistic that they might be able to see a combatant here unless they get up closer. So you could either put more doorways, you could put a box here, and that'll actually obscure the light around the box, so they wouldn't be able to see this line of sight. Or you could just put them in the GM layer and then move them over to the token layer to make them appear once this guy gets closer and he just didn't notice them. Something like that. But that's really the basics of this system. If you have any questions, comments, leave them in there. And I hope this is helpful. Enjoy.